So Hakeem Jeffries met with Jared Kushner, as reported by the New York Times, in an apparent effort to make corruption bipartisan again. This was just a huge error by Hakeem Jeffries, and I think once again really highlights his poor leadership and why he'll need to be replaced after the midterms very promptly before the presidential election, because he and Chuck Schumer will be a huge anchor on whoever becomes the Democratic nominee. And I also want to just put this meeting in the context of this quote from Meet the Press on August 16th, 2 Sundays ago, where Christine Welker is specifically asking him about Medicare for All legislation, noting that he supported it from 2013 to 2012. She doesn't note that it is widely popular among the Democratic voting base, with I believe something like 70% approve of the policy and want to see it enacted. And she asks bluntly, will you bring it up for a vote if he becomes Speaker? And he says quite explicitly, we're focused on November 3rd, not January 3rd. We're focused on getting Democrats elected, not what we'll do once we're elected with that power. That's a conversation he's not interested in having publicly. But privately, he's interested in having that conversation with Jared Kushner, which is just humiliating and a terrible moment of character and judgment for Hakeem Jeffries. He's essentially just playing into the appearance of corruption. One, this meeting has the appearance of corruption 1,000%. I mean, when Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch met on the tarmac, we don't know if anything actually corrupt was said, but that was a terrible meeting. It never should have happened. It absolutely reeked of corruption. And this reeks of corruption as well. I mean, one of the prime things that Democrats need to do this time around is not just investigate Trump and the Trump family, but prosecute them for any fraud or corruption they may have done. I think the lack of prosecution for the Trump 1 allowed Trump to come back. And, there were real crimes that were committed. I think the amount of fraud and self-dealing that we've seen from Jared Kushner in the Middle East is ridiculous. And, to add insult to injury, or injury to insult, I should say, at the end of this meeting, apparently Hakeem Jeffries was told that he should just meet with Susie Wiles, which is what he should have done anyway, because Susie Wiles is actually part of the administration, and Hakeem Jeffries is going to have more power, and they know that. That's the only reason this meeting has happened, is so they can soften, what's going to happen. Should the Democrats win back the House and maybe the Senate as well. Their only objective is to soften that. The idea that, there's any sort of meeting between Susie Wiles or Jared Kushner or the entire Trump family that Hakeem Jeffries could have where they would agree that, oh yeah, we should all work on housing policy. And then that housing policy that they agree on would come to the House floor, and then the GOP, House, and Senate wouldn't fight tooth and nail against that policy, even if it was hammered out against with the Trump administration, to further dull it or change it even more. It's ridiculous. They're head in the sand about the behavior of the GOP over the last 30 years, which has only accelerated since Trump got in office. And this is the Neville Chamberlain type politics, where they're pre-capitulating in the hopes of making things smooth, and they're about to have more power. I mean, it's really, frankly, ridiculous, and Hakeem Jeffries should really be ashamed of this. It's just playing into, as I said before, the appearance of corruption. I mean, it's one thing for, Middle Eastern countries or places that have tin pot dictatorships that are already super corrupt to try to talk to Jared Kushner because, that's how their system works, and they're just already going to make corrupt back deals that, no part of the government really should touch anyway. But you're about to have power. You're about to be, the Speaker of the House. You should just request a meeting with Susie Wiles directly, or make sure she's there at the meeting. Don't just go to some mutual third person, some private donor, I'm sure, who's a friend of both of them, and have a secret meeting. It looks so bad. And then to have this come out from the New York Times is terrible. I still don't believe Hakeem Jeffries has come out and addressed the meeting publicly, and he desperately needs to, because this reeks of corruption And, he's this sort of wishy-washy corporate Democrat. Charlemagne the God calls him not Tupac Shakur, but Apac Shakur, which I think is a fantastic nickname, and will really stick to him. And if he doesn't come out and address this, I think that he's just going to seem so weak that it'll really be an anchor around his neck. And, he's going to be probably the Speaker of the House, regardless, but I do think that he should be replaced before the midterms. Before the presidential election, because he's just going to. Maybe he'll prove me wrong, but the Democrats need to come out and not just make the case against Trump. They need to push policies forward. And so far, through his words and actions, Hakeem Jeffries seems like he is neither willing to prosecute Trump's corruption or push forward a progressive legislative policy agenda that would actually move the country forward and present a vision of what direction he wants to move America in. And absent of both of those things, you're basically just relying on James Carville's stupid theory of do nothing, let GOP bad governance destroy the country, and hope that some effective messenger comes along to make the Democrats look a little bit better, even though they've done nothing. It hasn't been an effective strategy for basically 25 years that James Carville and corporate moderate Democrats have been pushing it, but it's all they know how to do, and they have no new ideas. So that's that.